Gratitude practice is a common teaching in spiritual and personal growth communities. Let's look at how gratitude practice can actually stop you from having what you want in regards to your health, love, and financial success. I'm Christelle Arcucci. You're listening to the Soul Purpose Podcast, the place to learn the lightning path of embodied spiritual awakening with shadow and light integration in order to quit people-pleasing, reclaim power, and create your soul purpose legacy. This podcast is informational. It's also a transmission of power using hypnotic rhythm and energetic healing, which will include a variety in the intensity and speed of my speech. You may move into a trance state, so be mindful of what you're doing while you're listening. Hey, have you heard that gratitude practice is the ultimate technique to get you out of survival mode and into thriving mode and a life of abundance? While I do agree that gratitude practice and appreciating what you have by keeping a gratitude journal is a powerful practice to shift your awareness out of survival mode. Yet what I don't hear teachers talking about is how gratitude practice can easily be a tool for gaslighting yourself, shaming, and making yourself wrong, which pushes what you want further out of reach. Whoa, Christelle, did you really just say that? Oh yes, I did. What is gaslighting, you may wonder, if you're not familiar with this term? Gaslighting is a psychological manipulation that makes you question your sanity. And yes, you can do this to yourself, although it's most commonly spoken about in dysfunctional relationships with other humans. To clarify, gratitude practice can be harmful, but it doesn't have to be when you understand how gratitude practice can be gaslighting. Have you ever finished a gratitude journal entry and felt worse? Did your practice make you think you're crazy because you have so much to be grateful for, yet you feel stuck and unhappy, so you must be broken? If gratitude practice is creating internal conflict, then stay tuned to understand how to avoid a harmful gratitude practice and to move into gratitude gone wild practice. If you only focus on gratitude practice by saying, I'm grateful for my family, I'm grateful for food in my fridge, I'm grateful for the fresh water coming into my house, I'm grateful for the heat that is warming my home, I'm grateful for my job, I'm grateful for my friends. If all of those are true and you genuinely feel thankful for them, that's awesome. But if you have all these things you should be grateful for, yet you're also not acknowledging that you're also unhappy or stuck, that's where it can turn toxic in a flash. If you focus on appreciation without acknowledging conflicting thoughts, emotions, and beliefs, then your gratitude practice can become a subtle yet destructive form of gaslighting, shaming, blaming, making yourself bad, wrong, or broken. Boo. The shame of having so much to be grateful for, yet still being unhappy, anxious, ill, depressed, guilty because others don't have what you have, or not being ecstatically happy can be rooted in trauma from your childhood and or the cultural programming of destructive consumerism. I am not suggesting you ditch feeling grateful for what you have in your life. What I am suggesting is to practice gratitude and also recognize your shadow desires, beliefs, and emotions around what you have and what you want. Let's take a slight detour to the common teaching in the New Age and Law of Attraction circles that wanting is bad and just leaves you wanting without receiving. It is hard for me not to rant on this topic, but let's just say that teaching that wanting and desire are bad are a trap to keep you stuck and powerless. I talked about the power over dynamic in episode 1. If you want to learn more. Desire is pure power. The fire of your desire needs to be put into inspired and aligned action in order to actually create what you want. Your desire unlocks your power. Putting on blinders that only allow you to look at what is good in your life without integrating the challenging feelings will keep you stuck. It is good to put the majority of your energy and attention on creating momentum and focusing on what is going well and what you appreciate. But if you fail to validate the challenging feelings, you separate yourself from what is really happening and how it's impacting you. Pretending it's all fine with only gratitude practice is spiritual bypassing by putting frosting on poop and calling it a cupcake. Yes, gratitude practice has incredible power to create change. Yet the common pop culture phrase that says, "it's all good," can be harmful, especially if you've experienced trauma in your early childhood that demanded you to put on a happy face or you had to walk on eggshells in order to be safe. It is essential to learn to be comfortable with uncomfortable thoughts and feelings. Being present with challenging emotions from the past or in the present trains your body and mind to experience intensity, not as something to be avoided, but as a pure source of power. The practice of developing emotional resilience is life-changing and a core element of transforming trauma. You may have heard people talk about feeling truly grateful for the greatest trauma or life challenges that they have faced, like cancer, death of a child, or other intense tragedy, generally long after the situation is resolved. You may have been through this yourself. Feeling grateful for tragedy, catastrophe, or crisis may sound outrageous and radical, yet clarity happens during a crisis because it gets to the core of what matters most in your life. A life reset demands clarity about who you are, your priorities, and where you are going in your life. So let's talk about the epic 2020 and 2021 global reset. This challenge has collective and individual impact, and many people are also having significant personal challenges on top of it. If you force yourself to only focus on what is good in your life and not make space for challenging emotions, the shame, blame, and make wrong can make the whole situation wildly more difficult than it already is. The improvisational practice of yes and is a powerful remedy to acknowledge what is good while making space for shadow emotions. For example, I am grateful for my beautiful, safe, and clean home. And also, I feel afraid of what will happen next. I am grateful for the food in my fridge, and I am worried about my business income decreasing and not having enough to pay the bills. Practice feeling grateful and turning towards challenging emotions. Turn towards unwanted, unlovable, and undesirable. Get comfortable feeling uncomfortable. I predominantly see people teaching gratitude practice by glorifying what is good, right, and going well while demonizing life challenges. Like somehow you're failing if your life isn't Instagram perfect, which, by the way, nobody's is. This "it's all good" spiritual bypass creates a problem for most people by reinforcing the pattern that you're not good enough and that you are broken, and it keeps you from experiencing more of what you want in your life because it pulls you out of the present moment. And it fuels the inner conflict. If it's all good, why do I feel bad? It can be a good and helpful practice to recognize recognize and appreciate the good emotions and positive aspects in your life. Yes, and let's take time to befriend and be with the fucking hard, messy reality of being human. Let's not put frosting on poop and call it a cupcake. Note, I am not a poop talk girl, but this one gets me fired up, and saying it in this way gets the point across with greater potency. And this is the lightning path. If it's really all good, I should feel grateful that I lost my job, or grateful that I'm in the hospital with COVID, or whatever, which is a total mind fuck. What I am suggesting is, if you're in a really, really, really hard place and feeling stuck, start by speaking the truth. I'm having a really hard time right now. I'm feeling really alone and afraid and uncertain and unlovable. If you go deep enough into the shadow, you may access anger. Life is really fucking hard right now, and I feel desperate and I'm afraid and I hate this feeling. Turn towards and be with the depth of your darkness and fear. This may be one of the only safe spaces you will find the real truth and fully feel yourself. Turn your attention towards the uncomfortable and be grateful for truth and honesty. Say to yourself, thank you for telling me the truth. Thank you for trusting me. Be with the feelings and discomfort and get out of spiritual bypass, aka it's all good, or the gaslighting that you can't be yourself. Do your best to avoid shoulding on yourself and demand that you feel grateful when you don't. Once you've confessed the truth and thank yourself, you will likely be more authentically able to feel grateful for the food in your fridge or the air you breathe. Be present with that intensity, because the power of your truth and life force is power. And so I continue to suggest that gratitude practice, when it only focuses on what is good and right and going well in your life, cuts you off from the power or the fact that being human is fucking hard and that you are going to lose people and possessions that you love. Devastating things are going to happen in your community and in the world. You're going to get sick, and people you love are going to get sick, and terrible things will happen. I imagine a die-hard law of attraction practitioner out there is clutching their pearls hearing me say this. Life on earth is both heaven and hell. Let's be honest about that so we can stop spiritual bypass and gaslighting that is keeping people stuck and struggling. Excuse me while I get down from my soapbox. No, wait, actually, this podcast is my soapbox. Gratitude practice is not focusing on only good things. Yes, I agree that the majority of your time, energy, and attention is best invested in creating momentum in the direction you want to go. But if you are bullshitting yourself about the truth of your struggle, you will not get the results you desire. Move in and embrace the light and shadow, intensity and ecstasy of being human. Move out of this illusion that glorifies only good and perfect and pleasing being success. The myth that when life is hard, push it away because you are somehow failing is ridiculous. Struggle, challenge, and heartbreak are part of the game you signed up for when you came to Earth School. You can try aversion as much as you want, yet it's almost guaranteed to keep you stuck in the cycle of suffering and struggle. Can you practice being with what is? Take a gentle breath now without pushing or pulling. Can you be with what is? The more you practice, the easier it becomes. A consistent gratitude practice can be super helpful, but it's not the antidote for being in a hard place. First, embrace and land in the challenge. Feel it. Be with it. Befriend it. This will help you be honest with yourself. And when you truly become intimate with the truth of your experience, no matter how ugly, awful, painful, or disgraceful it is, you will meet your truth and yourself, and from there you will be authentically grateful. If you are in a deep state of suffering and struggle, then forcing gratitude practice could be poisonous. Be with what is. Recognize your wounds, then choose to focus on the present and future you want to create. When you can peel back all the shoulds and land in the truth, then you will find the ecstatic power of gratitude in the simplest things. The sun is shining, and I feel grateful for the sun that is shining on my face right now. Even though life is really fucking hard, in this moment, there's a crack in the struggle, and so I let the sun in to touch me, to hold me, to be with me. This is the gratitude gone wild practice of yes and. Yes, life can be beautiful, and it's fucking hard too. Yes, I'm having a really hard time. I'm gonna be with the intensity, be with the energy. I'm turning towards feeling lonely, depressed, hopeless, or powerless. I will not push it away. I refuse to resist. I turn my full attention towards the challenging aspects of being human. I will be with the hard things. I will not push them away. I name my experience what it is. I move out of this shiny object syndrome that clings to, chases after, and glorifies that which appears to be good to our ego and cultural agreements. Spirit is designed to thrive in all settings. There are countless stories throughout history of people that have survived and thrived in extraordinarily terrible, awful, and devastating situations. That is not fuel to make yourself wrong for not being able to do that. But what it does point to is what makes that possible? How did they do that? Being with their experience as much as possible, not pushing away the hard stuff and forcing themselves to try to be grateful. I imagine it comes down to the exquisite simplicity of present moment awareness with yes and, with no denial of pain and suffering. I am grateful for this breath, yes, and I am present with the pain in my body. I love the way the light shines in the window, yes, and I feel afraid. Each moment you are fully present with what is, you will feel gratitude. You can look for and celebrate what anchors you into the present moment. Awakening and enlightenment are being fully with what is. So simple, yet not easy. My issue with the gratitude teachings, if it isn't already clear, is it can just be another way of striving, another way of disconnecting you from the struggles of being human on earth now, another way of making you wrong for being human. It's not using gratitude as a spiritual bypass or gaslighting tool to keep your focus only on what is deemed good and therefore keeping you from feeling bad things. Pay attention to the hard things. Utilize your gratitude practice to bring you in the present moment. Gratitude gone wild practice. Even though I'm in pain right now, I appreciate that my breath is moving in and out of my body without effort. Embrace the light and the shadow. When your gratitude practice is truly anchored in your physical experience, in the present moment instead of in the mind and the list of things that you should be grateful for, that's where you can unlock the greatest power of bringing yourself into the present moment. Bring yourself deeper into the human experience of light and shadow, amazing and challenging experiences, love and loss, fear and fortitude. Let your gratitude practice bring you more deeply into the present moment. Feel your experience to find what you appreciate in your feelings rather than what the ego wants, which often speaks through your mind to say, I should be grateful. There's so much that I should feel good about. Recognize and feel the challenges that you experience in being human. True, honest, and uninhibited willingness to feel is the most potent pathway to heal. Thank you for being here, and I look forward to walking the soul purpose path with you. Yes, and your way to your deepest truth, power, pleasure, and purpose. You're listening to the Soul Purpose podcast filled with teachings and resources for the lightning path of embodied spiritual awakening with light and shadow integration in order to quit people pleasing, reclaim power, and create your soul purpose legacy. You can access the free Soul Success Journal and meditation and all the episodes of the podcast at soulpurposepodcast.com. I believe in you and the magic power of your soul. I am sending you so much love.